conceptual perspective to view things. People talk about a desire to be successful, all of the elements.
Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in. Uh, First of all, again, I want to thank everybody who has been showing mad love to me and my family as I recover from multiple heart attacks and emergency surgery. I am doing fine, and for those who may be concerned about me doing these short videos in the morning, I am pre-recording them at a time that I am, vibrant and lively. I've cut the vast majority of what I'm doing completely out for now, and I will integrate myself back in at a slow pace. Doing these videos do not tax me, especially as short as they are. I'm not going to be going 30 and 40 minutes or an hour like I do sometimes. This will be 10 minutes, maybe 15 if I actually get into a flow, but more likely around the 10-minute mark. Not anything that does this. My kids are talking to me more than that every freaking day, all day. Um, it's the stress of trying to make things happen, working from 4:30 in the morning to 10:30 at night every single day that I have to stop. Getting up at 4:30 in the morning is going to happen. That's my body. I don't need an alarm clock. I get up and I can't go back to sleep. But I can control how much I do during the day and when I end my day and uh, relax. And I'll be doing that. But I'm going to slowly move back into doing work. But there's just some things I'm going to want to share with you, and I want to fellowship with you, and I want to talk with you. Because see, the one thing that I came to grips with that's actually uh, reinforcing and making it easy for me to slow down is I was able to look around me, and as much as my wife would miss me, she would continue to live if I passed. I didn't want to leave her, uh, you know, hanging or not completely covered in any particular way, not just financially, but emotionally. I wanted her to really truly be prepared to live without me. And so that was a concern to me. Dying is not a fear of mine. The battle I take on every day, I take on with the understanding that at some point I may be called on to give my life, but I want that time to have meaning and not be because I'm not taking care of myself. But the one thing I had to come to grips with was that the world will go on without me. As much as I believe my work is important, as much as I get emails all the time from people talking about how I've encouraged, inspired, and helped them, as much as my clients rant and rave about the work we do together, I am cognizant of the fact that me leaving this place would not cause the world to shut down. And so I take the opportunity that I have to be a positive influence in this world very seriously. And so when I see certain things, I'm going to want to talk about it. And actually not talking about it is probably going to be more stressful and a strain on me than not. Now, obviously, I don't want to get too excited, so you won't see a certain part of me as much in the next week or so. But as I get stronger, I'll be back. But I do want to share what I have because I think it's important. First of all, I want to encourage you guys to continue to support the work we're doing, because just because I'm down right now doesn't mean that the Odyssey Project is down, and that the need to service our young boys and girls and the disenfranchised in our community is down. So I'm going to encourage you to support the work we're doing. And there's actually going to be a point in which I'm going to be doing some more research in the coming months, something that'll allow me to kind of get away and just sink into something I really am passionate about and I love doing, but it requires a lot of work and support. So support what we're doing. Black Men Lead, Restoring Ghetto's Forgotten Daughters, the Black Empowerment Initiative, the new work that we're doing with mental health for young Black males. We definitely need the support. So definitely show your love, show your support. For those of you who have been getting on me and telling me I need to stay off, I actually definitely understand where you're coming from. My wife is one of those people, and if she comes down and finds me in this office, I'm gonna be in trouble. I got in trouble a couple of times yesterday, but I mean, I think I may have spent 2 hours in the office total, and it wasn't all at one time. I got in, did some things I needed to do, got out, came back, checked on some things, got out, and then one last run, and I was done. I don't think I came back in the office and sit in my office after two, and and it wasn't the entire time. To all of my clients, the postponement of your sessions is extremely temporary. More than likely, we'll get started at the beginning of next week, and everybody will be back in their normal sessions. I'll be sending out emails to you and getting that straight. If I need more time, I will let you guys know. But just looking at how I'm progressing now, that's something I should be able to take on, and that would be one of the first things that I reassume. Um, on that note, the coronavirus. What I can tell you from what I know and the research that I've been able to do uh, is that while any virus, any contagious virus, should be given some attention, the fear mongering that has taken place has created an environment where we're literally watching a global economy disintegrate. And I don't think it's by accident. But I want to talk about the virus itself, and then I want to talk about the need for us to be aware of what's really going on the financial market and social market, geopolitical market. Again, I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible. First and foremost, December 31st is when people really start talking about and reporting cases of the coronavirus coming out of Wuhan, China. Um, and to date, we're talking about 3 months, 3.5 months later, almost 4 months later, we're talking about less than 4,000, 3,800 plus confirmed deaths. Okay, or if we were to continue at that rate of confirmed deaths, and it could definitely become an epidemic, and the rate of death could definitely increase, but we don't see that right now. I mean, as much as we are panicking, we're talking about 100,000 confirmed cases and only what less than 4,000 deaths. To put that in perspective, over 7 million will die from ischemic heart disease this year around the world. Another 6.7 million will die from stroke. Another 600,000 will die from uh, the common flu. And we can go on before we actually get to the point where uh, the point in the list of most deadliest conditions and situations. We can go on quite a while before we come into the range of where the coronavirus is even relevant. Yes, there are some concerns because this is a new strain of coronavirus. I remember SARS was a coronavirus. There's another one before SARS that was a coronavirus coming out of China. It's not a new virus, it's a new strain. It's highly contagious, from what I understand. It's airborne. That makes it highly contagious, meaning that it doesn't have to be actual contact for you to uh, contract it. However, it's not as deadly as the flu. It's more lethal to people that are considered part of the senior citizen group or the elderly, people over 60. And the older you get, the more over 60 you are, the more susceptible you are to uh, the lethal uh, ramifications of the disease. Or if you have a compromised immune system, then you are susceptible uh, to dying from the disease. But most people will experience some discomfort, some difficulty breathing, some coughing, and the virus will ultimately run its course. Um, Again, the flu is a lot more lethal around the world and in America than the coronavirus to this point has been. Um, we got to remember, since 2000 alone, we're talking about 15 probably viruses that was supposed to be the end of mankind, that basically disappeared as quick as they appeared, not to be discussed anymore, and we didn't give much thought to it. You have to be willing to look a little deeper to truly understand what's happening. We're having a global economy that's decimated, and that comes for a reason. One of the things that I'm noticing in my initial research and superficial observation of what's going on is that the market is taking a major hit, and the ones who are suffering most initially are the working class people with 401k plans. 401k plans right now are being decimated. And what you could look at that as being is a reshift of, of the wealth. In other words, you got a lot of people who are doing better than people were doing 20, 30 years ago. Um, and a lot of their quote unquote wealth is held up in their retirement planning, of which a 401k plan is a part of. Well, one way to reshift that wealth is to create global economic volatility and use fear to do it. Fear changes things. You got to understand that we operate in a consumerized global economy in which people have to buy things in order for the economy to work. Well, when people are fearful, people stop buying, people stop spending. Prime example, there's a lot of geopolitical ideology at play. So let's say it's not just the shifting of wealth. Then we can look at geopolitical strategies in which nations are basically waging strategical, economic, and uh, global economic war. At this particular point, while everybody thinks of oil production as coming from OPEC-driven nations like Saudi Arabia and some other Middle Eastern countries, the two top of uh, producers of oil at this time are number one, the United States, number two, Russia, then Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia follows behind that. What will happen if this particular epidemic continues and the fear continues and there's less flying, less traveling, less need for all for the sake of energy and fuel, then the demand for it will drop down. And you know that everything in the economy is driven by supply and demand. Well, once there's this surplus, the prices will drop. There are some who are saying we may get back. Remember, we went up well over $100 a barrel. There are some who are predicting that we can literally get down to $10 a barrel. While that will be good for people who are in a position of poverty because the gas prices will drop, it will be devastating to national and global economies. And so we have to look at that's been played. And there are players in this that want to see the US not be at number one. Russia wants to be number one. Saudi Arabia is still in the game and pushing. And so this is not a bad thing for them. So you have to understand there's a lot going on. Also, there's a force behind it because it is potentially a multi-billion-dollar increase in revenue for Big Pharma. Why? Because Big Pharma will be the one who comes up with the vaccine that makes this thing null and void and everybody goes back to usual. Another way to look at it is we may be looking at international martial law, another way to control citizens and manipulate situations. So there is a bunch of different things that can come out of this. So with that being said, almost reached my 15-minute mark. We're at 14:10. So I'm gonna jump off here. I just want to kind of come share that with you again. Thanks for all the love and the support and the prayers. I can't explain what that has meant for me and my family, especially my wife. My wife has been by my side since this started. She is the one that basically kept driving home. You need to go to the hospital. You need to go to the emergency room. And ultimately, I ended up there. And fortunately, by the time I had my first major, I was arriving at the hospital. I had several minors that I was dismissing as chest pain due to an injury in the workout in my workout process at the gym. And then when I had the really major one, I was there, but I was actually, at the time, it's crazy, I was pushing to be released because I felt that was something I needed to do. There was a lot going on. So I'm literally giving pressure to the cardiologist, the attending physician, the nurses. Hey, look, I want to get out of here. I gotta go. And so they said, okay, if we can get you your blood pressure here, blah, 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 get you stabilized, you can go, but we're going to ask you to sign a waiver. I forget what the waiver is called, but it's basically saying that I am leaving the hospital against the advice of the physicians. And I had literally signed that document, and they had put me in the wheelchair to roll me out. Fortunately, I was still in the system. I had been not totally removed from the system because I literally had a heart attack in the chair while they were rolling me out. I got to the elevator, and the pain started as soon as I sat down in the chair. And I just dealt with it because I just wanted to leave until I got to the elevator and I realized I can't. And so I told him, I said, I can't do this. My chest is hurting too bad. Something's not right. And they rolled me back and they triggered a rapid response team, got me in, got me down to emergency surgery, did the procedure, put a stent in my main artery where there was a 90% blockage. I mean, my blood pressure dropped immediately, which was crazy. That was a large contribution to my out of control blood pressure. That's obviously some life changes that I have to make, but I'm already on the way to that. And so, again, I thank everybody who uh, was there in one way or another, in spirit, in prayer, in sending a lot of positive energy. I absolutely appreciate and adore you guys for your love and support in this time. And definitely my wife does, who she's been there since day one. And I'm so fortunate to have her in my life. Um, I'm still in this. I'm still in the fight. I'm still breathing. I'm still in the fight. I'm just going to fight smarter from this point on. I'm going to fight as intensely, but I'm going to fight smarter. My health is going to be a top priority for me moving forward. So a lot of things that I've been taking on are going to have to be outsourced. I'm going to have to replicate myself and train other people to do a lot of the things that I do and trust them to do it. That's something that I'm going to have to learn at this stage in my life, and I'm prepared to make that move. So keep me lifted. Don't forget, support the work we're doing. Um, the the challenge in the war for our people continues. Um, it doesn't stop with what's going on, what's happening with all the fear and everything. We still have work to do. It doesn't stop with my illness or even my passing. There's work to be done, and that's my challenge to you. The one thing I didn't want to leave my wife. I didn't want to leave my kids. I didn't want to leave work undone. But the one thing I had is that if I did leave, if Monday was my last day on this planet, I came, I saw, and I conquered. I stood up and I gave life everything I had. I worked on full and I would have died on E. And while I don't want to die because I'm not taking care of myself, I'm not afraid to. But what I want to put upon your heart is the importance of being an impact in the world and not being so much constantly impacted by it. On that note, I'm out of here. You guys have an unbelievable day, and we will definitely be talking as time progresses. Love you. I'm out.
come ready or not. Frank Ocean made this record hot.
From a conceptual
Jay sounded better than
perspective,
Jay.
things people talk
Real
about
talk,
it as
I
how
ain't
to be
throwing shots.
successful.
Careful who